Changing your car battery every 3 years represents considerable financial waste that can easily be avoided. I will reveal today the professional techniques I learned from the best mechanics to transform a standard €100 battery into a reliable energy system for a complete decade. These revolutionary maintenance methods have been jealously guarded by automotive professionals because they drastically reduce replacement battery sales. The fifth trick I will share can literally resurrect a battery considered defective and restore its original performance. Be careful, however, because improper application of these techniques can irreparably damage your battery and transform a minor problem into a costly catastrophe. Are you ready to discover how to make your battery last longer than your vehicle itself? First fundamental technique: constantly monitor the electrolyte level. The electrolyte truly constitutes the lifeblood of your automotive battery and requires particular attention. Contrary to preconceived notions, even so-called maintenance-free batteries progressively lose their internal liquid, particularly during periods of intense heat. When the electrolyte level drops below the critical threshold, the internal metal plates become exposed to ambient air and begin an irreversible sulfation process. This chemical degradation definitively condemns the battery to premature death. The professional technique consists of monthly checking the level by delicately removing the filler caps. If the liquid does not completely cover the plates, add exclusively distilled water. Never tap water because the minerals it contains disturb the internal chemical balance. My Uncle Peter, a mechanic for 40 years, applies this method religiously and owns a battery that has functioned perfectly for 12 years. This simple monthly check can extend your battery life by 5 to 8 additional years. Second crucial advice: effectively protect your battery against extreme temperatures. Excessive heat represents the #1 enemy of battery longevity, contrary to popular belief that designates cold as the main culprit. Technical data demonstrates that each 10 degrees Celsius increase reduces your battery's theoretical lifespan by half. A battery designed to function 8 years under temperate climate will only survive 2 years in a particularly hot environment. The professional solution consists of manufacturing an artisanal thermal shield using thick aluminum foil and 5 mm thick insulating foam. Precisely measure your battery dimensions, then cut the foam to wrap the sides and top, leaving only the connection terminals free. Then cover the assembly with aluminum foil to create an effective reflective barrier against engine compartment heat. This simple modification can reduce the battery's internal temperature by 15 degrees Celsius, a determining difference between replacement every 2 years or every 8 years. If you conscientiously apply these maintenance techniques, your wallet will thank you for years. Subscribe right now to the channel and activate notifications to not miss any of our automotive tips that will save you hundreds of euros. Your support allows us to continue sharing these professional tricks usually reserved for insiders. Third essential methodology: maintain optimal voltage between 12.4 and 12.7 volts. This voltage range represents the ideal operating zone to preserve your battery's internal chemistry long-term. Most motorists consider a battery functions correctly if it starts the engine, a fundamental error that leads to premature wear. Your battery can perfectly start the vehicle while suffering progressive internal damage that reduces its lifespan. Voltage above 12.7 volts indicates overcharging that causes internal plate sulfation. Conversely, voltage below 12.4 volts places the battery in deep discharge state, creating sulfate crystals impossible to eliminate. Invest in a basic multimeter costing about €10 and control your battery voltage every 2 weeks. If the measurement drops below 12.4 volts, immediately connect an intelligent charger for 2 hours. If it exceeds 12.7 volts, have your alternator checked because it is probably overcharging your battery. This simple habit has allowed several of my clients to keep their batteries in perfect condition for over 10 years. Fourth revolutionary trick: regularly eliminate sulfation through controlled charge cycles. Sulfation constitutes the silent killer of all automotive batteries and develops insidiously over time. When a battery discharges, lead sulfate crystals naturally form on internal plates, creating an insulating crust that progressively blocks energy storage capacity. A new battery can lose 40% of its capacity in 6 months solely because of this chemical phenomenon. The professional technique uses a charger equipped with desulfation mode or can be performed manually with patience. Completely charge the battery, then let it rest for 2 hours to stabilize voltage. Then apply a slow charge of 2 amperes and repeat this operation 3 consecutive times. Perform this treatment every 6 months to gradually dissolve sulfate crystals and restore up to 90% of original capacity. This method has allowed me to see 5-year-old batteries recover performance comparable to new batteries. Fifth fundamental advice: absolutely avoid deep discharges below 50%. Complete discharges represent true heart attacks for your battery and definitively compromise its longevity. Each deep discharge irreparably damages the internal plate structure and reduces global storage capacity. A battery can survive a few complete discharges but will quickly succumb if this situation repeats frequently. Most motorists wait for their vehicle to refuse, starting to worry about their battery condition, a fatal error that compromises 50% of its remaining lifespan. Watch for alarm signals like lighting weakening, starting slowness, or horn weakness that indicate critical discharge. Regularly use a multimeter to verify that voltage never drops below 12.2 volts, a threshold corresponding approximately to 50% charge. A battery preserved from deep discharges can function perfectly for 12 years, while a regularly discharged battery will not exceed 2 years. Sixth professional technique: meticulously clean terminals with baking soda every 3 months. 90% of battery failures diagnosed in garages actually result from corroded terminals, and not from battery failure itself. This greenish and whitish substance that accumulates around terminals is not simple dirt but corrosive acid that progressively destroys electrical connection. This corrosion acts like a plug in your automotive electrical system arteries. Prepare a neutralizing solution by mixing 2 tablespoons of sodium bicarbonate in a glass of warm water. Always disconnect the negative terminal first to avoid any accidental short circuit. Generously pour the solution over terminals and observe the chemical reaction that produces neutralizing foam. This effervescence indicates that baking soda effectively neutralizes corrosive acid. Vigorously scrub with a used toothbrush until obtaining perfectly shiny terminals. Dry carefully before reconnecting, starting this time with the positive terminal. This quarterly ritual can extend your battery life by 8 additional years. Seventh revolutionary method: systematically disconnect the negative terminal during prolonged parking. Your vehicle harbors true energy vampires that continuously consume electricity even with engine off. The dashboard clock, radio memory, alarm system, and electronic control modules constantly drain the battery. My friend Sarah discovered this reality at her expense by finding her battery completely discharged after 2 months of vacation, forcing her to spend €150 for replacement. The professional technique consists of disconnecting only the negative terminal before any parking exceeding 1 week. This simple manipulation completely interrupts the electrical circuit and prevents these phantom consumers from emptying your battery. Your battery will retain its charge for entire months, thanks to this elementary precaution. Upon return, simply reconnect the negative terminal and your vehicle will start immediately. Sarah now applies this method systematically, and her current battery has functioned perfectly for 4 years. Eighth crucial advice: use an intelligent charger for monthly maintenance. Professional racing drivers exclusively use maintenance chargers to preserve their batteries despite extreme usage conditions. This maintenance charging technique keeps the battery in optimal chemical state permanently. Invest in an intelligent charger costing €40 to €60, equipped with maintenance mode or float charge. Absolutely avoid cheap chargers sold at service stations because they can damage your battery. Connect your battery to this charger for 1 complete night each month for optimal maintenance. The device automatically detects charge state and precisely applies necessary current to balance cells and eliminate nascent sulfation. This monthly maintenance regenerates plates, rebalances electrolyte, and dissolves sulfate crystals before they cause permanent damage. My father has used this method for 8 years on his battery that still functions like new. The €50 cost for the charger represents a derisory investment compared to €300 for replacement batteries. Ninth fundamental technique: regularly verify and adjust alternator tension. The alternator constitutes the energy heart that keeps your battery alive, but requires regular maintenance often neglected. A mechanic specialized in automotive competition taught me that a poorly adjusted alternator progressively destroys any battery. The key lies in correct alternator belt tension that must be perfectly adjusted. A belt too loose does not generate the 14 volts necessary for proper electrical system functioning. A belt too tight prematurely destroys alternator bearings within 6 months. Simple test: press the belt at the midpoint between pulleys. It must sink exactly 15 millimeters. Check this tension every 3 months and simultaneously measure electrical voltage with engine running. The multimeter must indicate between 13.8 and 14.4 volts for optimal functioning. This adjustment can determine whether your battery will last 3 years or 10 years. 10th final trick: Apply petroleum jelly on terminals to prevent corrosion. This simple technique represents the one that has saved me the most money on replacement batteries. White and greenish corrosion on terminals creates an insulating barrier that prevents normal electrical circulation. Your battery can be in perfect condition, but with corroded terminals, the vehicle will refuse to start. After carefully cleaning terminals, apply a thin layer of ordinary petroleum jelly on each terminal. This protection creates a hermetic shield against humidity and acid vapors. This invisible protective barrier preserves terminal shine for years. The derisory cost of 50 cents of petroleum jelly will save you hundreds of euros in replacement batteries. You have just discovered the complete system that transforms any standard battery into a 10-year energy system. Share in comments your last battery's lifespan and your vehicle brand, because this information helps us understand manufacturers' commercial practices. If these tips prevent you from even one battery replacement, support this channel by subscribing immediately. Activate notifications to discover next week how to optimize your alternator to produce more energy than its original design. Your commitment encourages us to continue sharing these techniques usually reserved for professionals.